In order to write JavaScript code, you need a code editor. There are various code editors out there, including Visual Studio Code or VS Code, Sublime Text, Atom, and so on. Out of these, my favorite is Visual Studio Code that you can download from code.visualstudio.com. It's a very simple, lightweight, cross-platform, and powerful editor. So if you don't have Visual Studio Code on your machine, go ahead and download it. The other thing I want you to install is Node. You can download Node from nodejs.org. Now, technically, you don't necessarily need Node to execute JavaScript, because as I explained before, you can execute JavaScript code inside of a browser or in Node. But it's good to have Node on your machine because we use that to install third-party libraries. And also, later in this section, I'm going to show you a preview of Node. So, pause the video now and download Visual Studio Code as well as Node. Once you're done, come back, continue watching. All right, now I want you to create a new folder. Call that JS-Basics. The name doesn't really matter. We just want to have a folder for writing all the code in this course. Now, drag and drop this folder into Visual Studio Code. Okay, we've got this folder open. Let's add a new file here, index.html. Now, you don't really need to know HTML in order to take this course, but if you want to be a front-end developer, you should know your HTML well. Now, in this file, I want you to type an exclamation mark and then press tab. This generates some basic HTML boilerplate. We don't really care about any of this code here. We're going to use this as a host for our JavaScript code. You're going to see that in the next lecture. So, save the changes. Now, open the extensions tab here. Here in this box, search for Live Server. So Live Server is a very lightweight web server that we're going to use to serve our web application. So install this, then you will have to restart Visual Studio Code. When you're done, go to the Explorer tab, right-click index.html, and select Open with Live Server. This will open up Chrome or your default browser and point it to this address. That's where our web application is served from. Now, currently we have an empty page. Now, to make sure that everything is working properly, let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Here in the body section, let's add an H1, press tab, and type hello world. Now save the changes. Back in the browser, you can see this page is refreshed automatically, and we've got the hello world heading here. In the next lecture, you're going to write your first JavaScript code.